you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Where did she come from? Oh, she's always here. Anyway, guys, welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate it. It's good to have you guys as well. Have I told you guys I love you as an audience? No one loves you more as an audience because you're my audience and no one else has you, or I hope no one else has you. I do see some of the people you guys follow on other podcasts. I get that data from iTunes, and I'm actually honored because you guys follow a lot of really smart people. Why you're following me, I have no idea. But the amazing authors that are intelligent, brilliant, and super brains that come on the show and share their data, that's why you're here. I know. You just hear from some idiot who does jokes every now and then. But you're here for the great authors. So refer the show to your family, friends, or relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Today, we have an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be getting into his insights and brilliance and experience in life that he can help you maybe make your life better. And if not, just go listen to the show over and over until you get it. He's the author of the latest book called, I'm the only one who really threatens their audience. It's kind of a thing. The title of his book is called Still, I Will Sing, A Journey of Hope and Healing by Scott Callaway, Folsom. I used to have some Callaway clubs once upon a time. Is that part of your family there, Scott?
Yes, my mom's side of the family. It was her maiden name, and it's my middle name, yes.
You should call him and see if you can get a club sponsorship for golf clubs.
Unfortunately, it's not part of that Callaway family.
Just lie. Just tell him. Don't lie. That's always a bad advice. But yeah, here I'm telling the minister to lie. What kind of guy am I? Anyway, guys, he's an amazing young man. We're going to get into his journey. He is the author of the aforementioned book, a memoir that shares his powerful story of faith, perseverance, and discovering hope in the midst of life's deepest trials. After 4 decades as a corporate banker, Scott now uses experience, faith, and personal journey to encourage others who are walking through difficult seasons. He's also the founder of Still, I Will Ministries, where he writes, speaks, and shares devotional messages that point people to the unshakable hope found in Jesus Christ. Welcome to the show. How are you, Scott?
Hey, thanks, Chris. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. And I was encouraging a minister to lie. So can you put a word in for me with the old Jesus? I was just joking. It was just a joke, Jesus.
Yeah, I think you're good. You're good. No worries. All right.
I'm not going to tell you the other things I've been up to in life. But anyway, so give us any .coms or .orgs, wherever on the internet you want people to find you.
Yes, people can go to my website called stilliwill.org. They can find my book there to order, and they can also view my different ministry pages. One is inspirational blogs. One is my ministry, my video ministries that they can tune into and watch to help give them some encouragement.
Mm-hmm. And so is your ministry a local thing in a certain part of the country maybe we should give a plug out to, or is it all online?
No, really, it's all online. The book really inspired me to start this ministry, and the only purpose of this ministry is to reach people, to provide encouragement and inspiration as they're going through their trials and dark moments in their life. It's all about sharing God's love and His faithfulness in difficult times. Yes,
we have some difficult times in 2026 going on.
Yeah, we do.
Wars and rumors of wars and. I can't quote the Bible in that way. Maybe you're better at that than I am, I think. Roars and rumors of wars, lions and tigers and bears. Wait, that was Wizard of Oz. So what inspired you to write this book? And what was the moment where you said, hey, I need to share this story?
Yes, obviously it's a memoir of my life's journey. And my story is really a testimony of God's faithfulness through different difficult seasons. As I would go through each of these difficult seasons, God would prompt me to say, you need to share your story. I didn't really know what that meant. I would share in different ways through my social media outlets and with friends and family. And they would tell me, Scott, your story is so inspirational. You need to find a way to share it. And again, I didn't really know what that meant. And it wasn't until my own journey with cancer where God really showed me that he wanted me to write this book. He provided a incredible miracle in my life to heal me from my acute myeloid leukemia cancer. Oh, wow. And then after my successful bone marrow transplant, I had time on my hands. I was out of work while I was healing. So God gave me the gift of time, and I used it to help write this story. And I tell people how easy it was. I wrote the book in less than 3 months. And I tell people that I got a divine download from God. Every chapter, every paragraph, every page, he made it real easy of what he wanted me to share in my story to help encourage and inspire others. So that's the purpose of the book.
Wow.
Really to get it into hands of those who need encouragement and inspiration to help get through their dark moments.
Wow. Yeah. What a story. Now, when did you first discover you had cancer? Tell us what that moment is like in that journey and how you navigated the mental and physical space of that.
Yes, I started looking back. My symptoms really began in, November of 2023. Extreme fatigue, sores popping up on my different places on my body, fever, stuff like that. So wow. I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in January of 2024. I was taken immediately to Moffitt Cancer Hospital in Tampa, and that started my 40-day journey in the hospital, getting treatments and chemo. And obviously, when you hear the word cancer, you never fully expect it. Some of the trials that I've had have been with close family members who have dealt and passed away with cancer, but you never expect to hear that, said to you from a doctor. Yeah. But, the first thing I did was, hold on to my faith in God, faith in the strength and the comfort that he'll bring me. And I had no doubt that he would carry me through this journey. My wife, my previous wife of 37 years, passed away with breast cancer. And I've got 3 daughters. And obviously, when my daughters have lost their mom and then their dad is diagnosed with cancer, it's easy for them to think the worst, right? Yeah. But I remember having great confidence in letting them know that, look, this isn't going to be gloom and doom. I don't want you to be discouraged. I had no doubt in my mind. I had complete confidence that God would carry me through this to get me to the other side, that he would heal me, and that he would make his plan known for me, what he wanted me to do after I went through the healing process with my cancer. So writing this book, sharing my story and starting this new ministry, Still I Will, is all part of the direction that I sense God taking me in.
Yeah. And when did you, I imagine not only is it hard on your daughters where, they're like, we lost our mom and now our dad is up and having health issues. We could lose him too. The same is for you, right? As a father, you're in the scenario where not only is this very personal to you, but you're also realizing that your daughters are going to be without both parents. I mean, that's got to be, something you have to grapple with, right?
No, absolutely. I certainly had to plan and prepare for it, to be wise in that area. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to explain it, but I had no doubt that I would get through it.
Yeah.
I tried to encourage my girls to remain hopeful, to know that the daddy was going to see this through and God was going to get me through it. And there was a lot more life left to live with them and for me. And since then, I've got 3 daughters. 2 of them have gotten married. I've got my third daughter getting married the end of May. And then my oldest daughter just had my first grandchild in November. God has really blessed me getting me through this journey so that I could enjoy these seasons of life with my girls as they go through these different milestones. God's been really good and faithful to see me through it and to look forward to however many days I have left on this earth.
I'm glad you made it through. And then at what moment did you have that download to write the book? Was it after you were cured of cancer and you're like, I need to share my story maybe? Or how'd that play out?
No, during my initial 40-day stay at Moffitt, obviously you got a lot of time to think.
Yes.
I tell people that I was alone a lot, during the night, during different times during the day when I didn't have visitors. But I tell people that I never felt lonely. God's presence was always with me. The encouragement I received from friends and family helped sustain me during that time. But it was in that hospital when God confirmed that, Scott, I'm going to see you through this. I'm going to perform this miracle and heal you so that you can share your story with others through this book. So I didn't really have the download until after my successful bone marrow transplant, when I was at home healing. God really laid it on my heart. Okay, it's time to write the book, and this is what you're going to write about. And it just flowed out. The chapter was written very easily with what God wanted me to say, what he wanted me to title it, and the encouragement he wanted me to give.
Now, the title, Still I Will Sing. Tell us what that means to you.
Yeah, it was inspired by one of my favorite Christian worship artists, Stephen Curtis Chapman. He wrote a book called Still. And this song really speaks to God's unwavering faithfulness during dark moments, during life's chaos and painful moments. So that was the kind of anthem that I wanted to portray on the title of my book. I wanted to be able to proclaim that no matter what I go through, no matter how dark my days, still I will sing of God's great faithfulness, his love for me, and the unshakable hope and promises that he gives us as his children. Yeah.
And what a message to share, uplifting of hope. This is the reason we love the show. So people come on and share their amazing stories, their cathartic moments in life, the things where, they rose from the ashes like a phoenix. And we all go through dark times in life. And many times we think we're alone. Oh, the universe hates me and it just picks on me all the time. And, it's easy for us to kind of fall victim, especially in those dark moments, because, they're so overwhelming sometimes. And sometimes, I hate the fact that we might need them to grow, which doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of like the end part of it. I don't like the journey part of it, but it is necessary. So you kind of have to it is what it is.
Yeah.
If it wasn't valuable, it wouldn't be worth the effort. But people share their journeys and, you're not alone. There's lots of people like yourself that have gone through these sort of trials and tribulations, and sharing your story and inspiring other people. You never knew you're going to touch with a book. It has such a wide reach, and there's people that are going to be influenced. And, like I've been told before, there's somebody out there who needs your book. Your specific book. They need to hear your story in your words, and no one else is going to resonate with them but you, whoever the applicable author is. And you're going to change people's lives. Sometimes you're not really intending to. You're just like, I just want to make people be positive. I've had two people on social media tell me that they didn't commit suicide that day because they saw something just randomly inspirational that I posted with an auto poster. And our intent wasn't like, we're going to save people from wanting to self-harm. Our intent was, just inspire people. But to see how much of a difference you can make in people's lives is just, it's immeasurable, because you never meet most of the people you can change and save their lives.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
It's during our darkest days where our testimony is really written and defined, and God can use that testimony in a special way to reach those that really need it, that may be going through the same things I went through. So you never know what kind of positive influence and inspiration you can have on someone that really needs it at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. What more about the book do we want to talk about before we move on and talk about your ministries? Is there maybe something you want to tease out about it?
People ask me a lot about, what are some of the lessons that I learned as I was writing the book or going through that process, looking back on my journey. What are some of the lessons that I learned? And I would say there was probably, 4 or 5 that I'll mention here. There was a bunch of lessons I learned. Don't get me wrong, but we're limited on this show, so I'll keep it down to 3 or 4.
They got to buy the book and read it, right?
You got to buy the book and read it, yeah. But I learned the importance of surrender. Surrender meaning, trusting God when you don't really fully understand what he's doing at the moment. A lot of times in our life when we're going through difficult situations, we may not know what's going on. We may have questions for God, but even though we can't figure out his ways or understand what's going on, we can always trust his heart. That was one lesson. Another lesson was on patience. I did a lot of waiting through different journeys that I went through and seasons that I went through. And the examples that I use now is my hospital stay. I was in the hospital 40 days initially. That's a long time of waiting as I was going through chemo treatments, as I was going through, the doctor's reports, waiting every day, waiting on that new report to see how my blood cells were reacting to the chemo. Finally, after 40 days, it got to a point where I could go home. And that was a celebration after waiting that long. I learned to wait 11 months while I was on disability and out of work to get through the bone marrow transplant, to get through a point of complete healing to where I could be released from disability and go back to work. So there's a lot of waiting and patience that you have to learn. God's timing is not always our timing. He doesn't do things according to our timetable, but he just tells us to trust him, to wait on him, and he'll make his plan known at the right time. One thing I learned is instead of asking, why me, Lord, I learned to say, why not me? Oh. It's easy for us as we're going through difficult times to say, God, why are you doing this to me? Why at this point in my life are you've given me this diagnosis, or this is happening to my family? But what I learned through my journey is to say, Lord, why not me? Why not use me and the trials that I've been through and the lessons that I've learned to help inspire and encourage others that may be going through the same things that I went through, that need that extra bit of encouragement? Why not use me to share about your unshakable hope, your love, and your goodness that is always with us, and your unshakable hope? And then finally, I'll make this one my last one. I learned the power of prayer. I've been a Christian since I was 10 years old. I'm a Baptist preacher's kid. So I've been around this spiritual heritage and this legacy of faith all my life. And I know about prayer. I've been faithful in prayer, but until you go through your own cancer journey and some very difficult trials, you ask people to pray for you, and you really understand the power that it can have. During my cancer journey, my prayer chain, I had thousands of people praying for me all over this country, even internationally, people I didn't even know. I call them my prayer warriors, but it was through their prayers and through the strength and encouragement and the peace that I received through these prayers is what helped sustain me and get me through my difficult days. The power of prayer is awesome, and you never doubt it, knowing that it can do miraculous things.
Hope springs eternal is the great thing about human nature. Let's talk about your ministries and some of the things you do for people over there.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, the book really inspired me to start a new ministry called Still I Will Ministries. You can find it at stilliwill.org, but it's just an opportunity, again, to help support my book and help create an avenue for me to continue to share inspirational stories, inspirational devotionals to help encourage others. I share different video ministries of my testimony and sharing with youth groups that can be helpful in lessons that can help get them through life situations. But more than anything, it's just meant to come alongside people in prayer and encourage them to get through their dark moments and difficult days.
That is an important thing to have. Now, how often do you post on the YouTube channel there?
My inspirational blogs, I try to write and issue a couple of blogs a month. but certainly at least once a month. And then my video, depending on situations where I've been invited to speak and share my testimony, I try to put the videos there, but I don't do the videos as often as I do the inspirational blogs. But you can certainly count on this replay being on my webpage under the video section, so people can go back and listen to this interview over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and inspiration is such a wonderful thing. And now, how can people support your ministry? How can they support you? What are some different vehicles they can take and do that with?
Yeah, again, you can subscribe to my email list on my website. You can, send me emails at scott@stilliwill.org to share lessons you've learned or the encouragement that my story has given you. That is always a great blessing to me, to hear from others on what the book did for them, the encouragement the book gave, and the encouragement that my email blogs are giving them. There's several ways that they can go and support me and encourage me through the website.
And now, I think you're working on some future projects. Tell us about some of the things or books that you're working on now.
Yeah, writing my first book, Still I Will Sing, has inspired me to learn the joy of writing and sharing my story. The magic about the title, Still I Will Sing, is that you can use that phrase, Still I Will, to capture a lot of different themes. So I'm in the process of starting several projects. One's going to be called Still I Will Hope. Again, it will encompass some of the journey that I've been on, but also bring in some other scriptures on hope. I've got a project on a 31-day devotional called Living in the Light of God's Glory. I use scripture on God being light and us being the light of the world to shine for him in a devotional setting for 31 days. There's a leadership book that I want to write called Still I Will Lead. After a 40-year banking career, I've had the opportunity to lead teams and be at the executive level, and I've learned a lot of lessons that I think I can help share with others who are in current leadership roles or have a desire to reach that level. I'm inspired to write a lot of different projects. It just takes time to do it, but I'm hopeful that I can get these out in the near future.
We'll look forward to seeing them. Anything more you want to plug or talk about while we have you on the show?
Yes, I want to encourage people to, go out and buy a copy of my book and read it. My desire is to share my stories of difficult days, difficult journeys, the story of loss of loved ones, the story of infertility that I experienced with my wife, waiting 10 years before we could have any children, my story of job loss and taking almost a year to find a new job, the loss of my parents, the loss of my wife of 37 years to cancer. So I've experienced a lot of heartache and difficult days. Now, my story is not any different than everyone else's story. We all go through different experiences, and God has us on different journeys, but we can all support each other and encourage each other. So I'm hopeful that my book will be an encouragement to you, will be an inspiration to you, and more than anything else, that it'll point you to the unshakable hope that we have in Christ, to know that God is in control and that he loves us, he sees us, and he wants the best for us. Go out and read the book and let it encourage you, and visit my website at stilliwill.org to find additional encouragement and inspiration.
It's been wonderful to have you on. Thank you so very much for coming. We appreciate it, Scott.
Thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
Thank you. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Pick up his book wherever fine books are sold, called Still I Will Sing, A Journey of Hope and Healing by Scott Callaway, Folsom. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss One, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, Scott, we're out.